Hey, I'm Greg. I'm a front-end software developer at a large software as a service provider, a SaaS company. I'm reviewing Amazon S3. I give that 4 out of 5 stars. Prior to using S3, we were running a lot of our systems manually, in the sense that we would have certain files downloaded on our machines and run our scripts locally, whether it be Python. Memorably, I'm thinking of running a Python script on an Excel file and sort of speeding through it that way. And when we wanted to push to the cloud, that was really our main competitor was ourselves, like doing it locally. And so S3 seemed like the logical option to move from doing local development to making this more sort of accessible and working for us in the long term was to move to S3 in the cloud. So S3 for us, there are a few things. There, with the first experience I had with S3 was as a static website host, and so I used it there. That's when I got introduced to it, I should say, and it was great because it was very cheap. It's next to nothing to host your files there, and they also have these sort of other capabilities that lets you serve pages to the public, and that's really great. For us, S3 is just such a clear offering because of its packaged the rest of the services that AWS provides. So when you think about, hey, do I want to be able to easily integrate my file hosting amongst other things that S3 provides with everything else that I'm already paying Amazon to do? Like that's just the best way to do it, at least in my opinion. And so that was sort of what motivated us to do that, and it's worked out so far. Integrating S3 into our company was okay, and I'll be honest, I can't speak to this entirely. I think AWS, if anyone's worked with it in the past, it's like their documentation is incredible, and it's relatively easy to do. But to upload a file and interact with it, depending on your goals of that interaction, it's not like you're uploading to Google Drive. They do have a drag and drop interface you can use if that's what you want, but most of the time, I think people use S3 as an endpoint where they will place it in their code and have people be able to upload files, and it will be stored in an S3 container. And that, in and of itself, the problem it's trying to solve is not necessarily one that anyone who's non-technical can do, or at least not with a little bit of research. But still, on the whole, it was relatively easy for us to integrate that solution into our product, given the newness of the product we were working on. Yeah, so before using S3, I think it's good to consider a few things. One, what's the problem you're trying to solve? And so, as I mentioned earlier, I think the first thing that I used it for was static website hosting, which was fun. Like, it was really great way to do. It was actually in college when I used it for static website hosting. But now there are tools like Versal, which is a great Jamstack provider where they have free hosting for really any front end service. And so I would use that over S3 for website hosting, like in that capacity, right? But if you use AWS, then you need a place to store different objects or files or things like in a database doesn't really make sense. S3 is perfect. Do that. But if you're on something like Google Cloud Platform or another provider, I'd look into their offerings first. The fact that we were on AWS really made a huge difference in us choosing to run with that service.